was 29, I told myself, the next acting job I get, no matter what it pays, I will, from now on, for better or worse, be a working actor. So I quit my position at the Professional Examination Services. My friends really weren't happy about that because it was so easy to find me when I worked there. Work was the only place I had the internet. This was at the beginning of the internet. And now I didn't have either the internet or a cell phone or a job. But something good happened. I got a low-paying theater job in a play called Imperfect Love, which led to a film called 13 Moons with the same writer, which led to other roles, which led to other roles. And I've worked as an actor ever since. But I didn't know that would happen. At 29, walking away from data processing, I was terrified. 10 years in a place without heat, 6 years at a job I felt stuck in. Maybe I was afraid of change. Are you? My parents didn't have much money, but they struggled to send me to the best schools. And one of the most important things they did for me, and graduates, maybe you don't want to hear this, is that once I graduated, I was on my own. Financially, it was my turn. Parents are applauding, graduates are not. But this made me very hungry, literally. I couldn't be lazy. Now I'm totally lazy, but back then, I couldn't be. And so at 29, and at very long last, I was in the company of the actors and writers and directors I'd sought out that first year, that first day after school. I am by their sides. Raise the rest of your life to meet you. Don't search for defining moments because they will never come. The world might say you are not allowed to yet. I waited a long time out in the world before I gave myself permission to fail. Please, don't even bother asking. Don't bother telling the world you are ready. Show it. Do it. What did Beckett say? Ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, fail better. Go into the future. I think I don't know if I would use this machine or relive any memories. I think it sort of can be destructive. That's my takeaway from it. I don't know.
I would use the machine, yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's interesting, yeah. Would you use it?
I think it's not so good to live in the past. Or have the clarity of the past. You should romanticize it. That's what we do. It's storytelling.
But Peter, this is the last season of Game of Thrones. Like, there's nothing you would miss or you have favorite memory of that?
Oh, you gotta move on. Gotta move on. Yeah, it's all about moving. It's all moving on. It's all about moving on.
When you grew older, you moved to Brooklyn, and in those days, Brooklyn was Brooklyn. It's different now.
Williamsburg in the early 90s.
What was your life like over there?
Terrible.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I think you need a time in your life right after college to suffer a little bit, to keep you on your toes. But I remember I had this apartment that didn't have any heat. None of them ever had any heat back then. We put up plastic on the windows in the winter. Sort of like in here.
Yeah.
I find it kind of sad that that's so much surprising, because writing has gotten so sort of formulaic, especially I think, sorry, in television. But you just gotta push the envelope and challenge people's expectations and ideas of what's going to happen next. And I think we do that. And I think that's adds to the addiction of the show. You never know what's around the corner.
I think with the culture we live in today, the internet and web and things, and the Twitter and the gobbler and the blah blah, you know, I think part of the reason why Marlon Brando is who Marlon Brando was, why he was one of the, if probably, yes, to me, the greatest actor ever, because we didn't really know too much about him when he was younger, and that left it very mysterious. So we were able to get lost in his characters more. But nowadays it's a bit, there's so much knowledge of everybody's personal life that you sort of can't get lost in the characters they play. So my professional thing that I've is just to shut up, and the less is more.
She's beautiful. All awards mean that people are. It's just great. It's another award that's, you know, people loved what you did, and that's always means well. It means good. Actors, I think, need a lot of confirmation for what they do. I think that's why we have all these award shows. It's just a movie we made for no money in 20 days, and it just feels good to get recognized for something like that. You know, we made the movie for $500,000, and we struggled to get it made, and it just it's found an audience, which we didn't know it was going to find. You know, it's a very personal movie. Tom McCarthy, the writer-director, it's his first film, and he wrote it for the 3 lead actors, and then Miramax bought the film at Sundance about 1.5 years ago. So it's been great. It's been a crazy ride.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I kind of don't understand. I mean, films from the Far East have always done it, that I've seen. Why can't an action movie also be very heartbreaking and personal? Why can't a horror film be very dramatic? I feel like sometimes in America we get trapped by our genres, and we don't overlap. And I think that's unfortunate. And something like this, which has such science fiction elements to it, it also is a very deeply personal film for a lot of these characters, and very dramatic and very sad and heartbreaking. You get very emotional watching a film like this, and you sort of forget that you're watching a big summer blockbuster film.
Well, I try to, you know, and I'm not always successful at it. You do have to make a living, and I do not fault anyone else who makes choices to play characters that they wish they hadn't agreed to do, and because at the end of the day, none of us are happy with our jobs all the time. But I just sort of, I had some perseverance in terms of what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. And I think no is a very powerful word in our business that is very hard to use early on in your career. But I also think I was pretty arrogant when I was younger. So I use that word maybe too much, but it also helped me with finding roles that I did like.
What was the first time you stood on stage and thought, I want to act and this is the only thing I want to do?
Oh, it was so many years ago, I don't remember.
Oh, you're a baby. Give me a break.
I think a lot of us are just little hams when we're children, and it just starts that way. You know, my mom's a music school teacher, and kids would come in. It was a revolving door policy at our house growing up in New Jersey, where piano lessons were given all day throughout the day, and my brother and I would be putting on puppet shows down in the basement and constructing these elaborate sets and putting on these shows for all the octogenarians of the neighborhood that were kind enough to pay a nickel.
So the arts was sort of, this was something in your background
It just came at an early age, yeah. I don't know when it starts. When you trace it back to when you were a little child, you can't really remember this big moment. I think it's a lot of little moments that build up into something that just forms who you are and your need to be an actor. Yeah, people taking pictures, especially a place like this, they want the proof of a memory, but they don't actually experience something to remember. It's sort of strange. Can I have a picture? And they don't really meet you, or it's just this sort of thing that's happening now. It's replacing
an experience, a memory that you will have. Instead, it's just a memory of a photo.
I think it's
and I'm sure you start to apply your own memory to that photo,
right.
and change the events and how they went down. And originality, I know that's a very, but without it being aware that it's being original. A lot of scripts are trying to be very original, and they're so self-aware. I think we're living nowadays in a meta society, and we can't help ourselves in that. And I think a lot of it manifests a lot in scripts that I read. Like Charlie Kaufman, for example, he came into this world and he wrote those movies. And since Charlie, people have tried to be like Charlie's movies. You know, they've sort of tried to follow that form, but it's not their own, it's Charlie's. And so sort of take your own path, write what's true to you and no one else, and then it'll be wholly original. That's what I look for.